Homework is the debut album by robot French duo Daft Punk, except that it was actually created before they adopted the whole robot persona. So I guess it's more accurate to say that Homework is the first and only album by fleshy and meaty French duo Daft Punk. Either way, beyond just the whole aesthetics thing, Homework really shows the group, or rather the duo, at a point in time where they're still trying to figure out their musical identity. What exactly should Daft Punk sound like? So as a result, a lot of the musical elements that you would find on some of the later Daft Punk albums, they don't really come into play as much here. I think the best example would be the latest Daft Punk album, Random Access Memories. And that, besides I think like Get Lucky and like a couple other songs, as a whole, it's very introspective and moody, right? Very atmospheric, I guess you could say. And in many ways, Homework is almost the opposite of that, where it is just very, almost refreshingly straightforward. At its core, it's just two young men in like one of their bedrooms, just pumping out like bangers, absolute fucking bangers. Okay, I think you can look at something like Defunk, the song Defunk, where it starts off. This is like an absolute like massive song, by the way. It is like this big. Okay, I'm moving my hands to like in like a gesture to show you how big it is. Okay, you can't see it, but like trust me, I'm doing that. Okay, because it starts off with this funky hook, like bang bang wah, 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 bang wah, 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 bang wah, 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 bang bang. And then it repeats that for a few measures, and then the drums going ba ba. These are like humongous drums, like absolutely gargantuan, okay? And the end result is a song that just absolutely like fills up your speakers, just gets you out of your seat, makes you nod your head, tap your foot, throw your ass back, all that shit. Okay, this is just massive, just nonsense. I love it so much. And as a whole, like the whole album just feels that way, where it's just unapologetically fun, you know? I think, I guess it is important for music to have kind of a deeper meaning sometimes, but what is more important is just having something fun you can dance to. And I think Homework nails that. I guess the main criticism, though, that you would have of the album is that a lot of the songs, you could say, are repetitive and drag on too long. But I think some of that is warranted, but some of that is kind of unfair. Because you could say that like EDM as a whole is like that. Like the entire genre is just very minimalistic. You know, if you told me that the CIA played like Skrillex on repeat for an hour to torture prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, I would take that statement at face value. I would believe that 100%, because that's just how the genre is structured. I mean, most of the time you're gonna have your like very staccato like 4/4 drum going, and that inherently is like very repetitive. You know, you could add your like some synth, your like bass line, but at its core, like there's not going to be that much going on in your average EDM song. I mean, like you don't even have real vocals most of the time, or like lyrics. And that just goes to show, like, you can criticize Homework for being repetitive, but a lot of that criticism is just because they were working within the constraints of the genre of music they were producing. I think, honestly, given these limitations, I think Daft Punk did a good job of creating music that could hold your interest for a long time. Um, Probably the best example would be the famous hit Around the World. I think if you were familiar with the song, you would know that it is straight up like a lyrical masterpiece, undoubtedly. But besides that, you might ask, like, how does the instrumentation hold up to these just profound lyrics? And for that, I will play a little snippet of the music video for Around the World. I don't know if I have the audio muted because I'm not sure the shit's copyrighted. I don't even know the video is copyrighted. But so I encourage you to like watch this yourself with the audio on, obviously. But the gist of it is that each of these groups of dancers, like the skeletons, for example, is like one element of the song. And you can look, everything is like perfectly choreographed, you know? Timing is just immaculate on every single element. There is no like beat that is out of place. And two, look how dynamic it is. They're like, these skeletons were just like sitting on their ass in the start of the video. Now they're like doing whatever the fuck they're doing. So even though this is literally a song with three unique words as its lyrics, there is like progression and movement within it. And the fact that Daft Punk can make something like Around the World be this dynamic just shows, you know, why they're the GOAT. Yeah, so I mean, I understand that, you know, not everyone will enjoy this style of music. Even after all I've said, some of you will still think it's Around the World is garbage, and that's fine. But for what it is and for what they set out to do, you can't deny that it is just flawlessly executed. Yeah. Anyway, I guess while I'm here, something that I should mention is that this year, 2022, is actually the 25th anniversary of the album. So to celebrate, Daft Punk have actually re-released Homework alongside, I want to say about 15-ish remixes of songs on the original album. Now, don't get me wrong, like, it is great that there is, you know, new tracks, especially post-breakup. But in all seriousness, these are truly bonus tracks in every sense of the word. That's not to say that they're bad. Like, these are all like very solid remixes, you know? None of that like put it on like 1.5 times speed, pitch everything up higher and say like, oh, it's fucking nightcore now. None of that bullshit. These are all well produced, well thought out. You know, all of these DJs that are featured here have been dropping these remixes at the club for years, and they're just really well polished. But the issue is that, like I said before, these were made to be dropped at the club for people who are doing tripping balls off whatever drug of their choice. So, but these are also like 7 to 8 minutes long, a lot of these remixes. So ultimately, like, the live experience is much better than hypothetically if you were to listen to an album start to finish for the purpose of reviewing it. And if you were to do that hypothetically, then you would say that 7 to 8 minutes per song is way too long, and it just gets very repetitive after a while. So yeah, overall, these tracks are a pleasant surprise. That's about it, but that is all they need to be. Homework is already a very complete sounding album, so there's not really any expectation for these remixes to redefine the album as a whole. Um, anyway, what are my final thoughts? Well, overall, I would say Homework is very good. Um, I wouldn't say it is the best Daft Punk album, but considering that some of the other Daft Punk albums are just straight up incredible, like that is not really a bad thing. Um, I guess one thing that I found really interesting when I was reviewing this album, looking back on it, was one, not only seeing how Daft Punk themselves have evolved their sound in the 20-something years since this album was released, but also seeing how something like Homework, how much influence it has had on the dance music community as a whole, and how many other great artists have been inspired by it to create great works of their own. That's about it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Next video will probably be on Pokemon, unless I get sidetracked again. But that would never happen, right? I would never get sidetracked. In all seriousness, I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of this video. And I will see you next time. Peace.